Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel where I design visual systems in my bullet journal. So in this video, I'll be creating a project management spread and tracker for one of the key projects I have to complete for this last quarter of 2020. So this is basically a detailed breakdown of one of my goals in my quarterly goals planning, where I really try to flesh out my plan for execution so that I can see this project to fruition. But before I go into the actual spread, I should probably mention that sometimes our planned milestones and deadlines at this very overview level of planning might still change or move, which is exactly what happened in my case. The launch date was moved from end November to December 15, but that is okay because this new spread I'm creating will be based off the new adjusted deadline, including all of the steps to get there. So moving forward, the idea is to create a spread where I could see everything in one place so I could have a better visibility of my progress, especially as I get closer to the target deadline. So how I wanted to organize the contents of this spread was by increasing level of detail from left to right, starting with the adjusted milestones and timeline on the left-hand side, followed by all of the respective task lists on the right side of this spread. So basically, what I'm doing first is I'm writing down all of the key milestones or phases for this project, which is pretty much the same as those in my quarterly planning spread, just that I have further broken them down into specific activities or components. So by doing this, it'll actually make it easier for me to plan out exactly in which weeks I need to do each of these activities. Which leads me to my next step, which is to plan out my adjusted timeline. So what I'm doing here is I am drawing the timeline for each of these phases as thick lines, and then the breakdown timeline for their corresponding activities as thin lines, and then I'm just drawing a star to indicate the target milestone. So next, I'm moving on to this side of the spread, where I'll be further breaking down each phase or activity into all of their respective lists of tasks that I need to get done. So in my case, since my project is to launch online training, I had to break it down into all of the different course sections and subsections according to the curriculum. And then for every subsection, I also have a list of things I need to do, which are actually the same repetitive tasks. So to avoid rewriting these tasks over and over again for every subsection, I put it in a matrix format where all of the sections and subsections are at the top of the x-axis, and the list of tasks are at the side or at the y-axis. And then for every task that is applicable to each subsection, I will just draw in a dot. So for example, for the introduction section, I need to prep an introductory text or paragraph and also a deck of slides. But I don't actually need to create resources or a quiz because it is only an introduction. So again, I'm only drawing dots for applicable tasks. And you'll also notice that there are a few gray dots. So those dots are actually tasks that are not done by me but by external lecturers. But because I'm still the main course coordinator, I would still need to keep track of the progress from their side. So in this case, I'm using these gray dots as more of like a completion checklist for their part of the work. So what if I have tasks that are not repetitive, or what if I have a different set of tasks for my other activities? So in that case, I would probably just add in separate task lists, which is also what I'm doing here in the bottom. So if let's say my tasks for each activity were all different, then I would probably have columns of task lists instead of a matrix in this page. And then finally, at the top of this spread, I'm just adding a simple header for the project title with a clock drawing on the left as a symbol for schedule and a checkbox on the right as a symbol for checklists. And by the way, if you're curious about this ruler, it's actually a little time-saving trick that I came up with. So if you want to learn more about that, I have also linked it down below. So now that I've completed my project tracker, how will I actually use it? So first, I'll start with my weekly planning process, in which case, let's assume that I'm currently on this week. So before I plan out my week, I will first check which activities I need to do that week based on this timeline, and then write it down on my weekly task list. And then when it comes to actually doing the work, I will then flip over and refer to this spread for what I actually need to do, So I don't need to write out the steps or rewrite the subtasks because I already have it all here. So instead, all I'm going to do is to draw an X on these tasks as I complete them. So because this task list also kind of functions as like a completion checklist, I can also update my timeline as I complete each activity. So here you can see that I have finished all of the tasks for this activity. So now I'm drawing over a black line on this schedule with a cap at the end to indicate my actual completion date, which happened to be a week earlier than planned. And then as I progress, I will basically do the same thing for the other tasks and activities, including those done by external lecturers, which, as I mentioned, I'm also overseeing and using this spread as a completion checklist for their part of the work. So that is basically my project management tracker, and honestly, I'm very happy with this format. For me, it is very streamlined, compact, yet very functional, and not only am I able to see all the information and tasks I need to do in one spread, I can also update and see my progress in the same spread as well. So do let me know if you'd like to try it out, and please tag me if you do. I would really love to see how you customize it to suit your respective projects. And speaking of which, I actually have another project coming up which will also need its own spread and tracker, but it'll probably be in a different format because it's more in the earlier stages of project planning. So let me know in the comments if you'd also like to see a video of that as well. So as for now, thanks for watching and take care everyone.